Hi there, and welcome to another edition of One Patriots Place, brought to you by the E2G Sports Network with Thomas, Murphy, Clazzy Clare Cooper. And if you're listening on podcast, thank you for downloading. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. As you can see, folks, and you'll hear in a minute, we welcome back. We're so happy to be able to welcome back, actually, of PatsFans.com. It is our Viking brother himself, the superb Steve Balistreri. Steve, thank you for coming back and gracing the studios with your presence. How are things with you?
Things have been challenging. I'm glad to be back with two of my favorite people in the whole world today, and I've missed you both. So
you have been missed, my friend.
Yeah,
you have been missed.
Happy 328 Day, as Patriots fans. We all know what that means.
I didn't realize I hadn't looked at the calendar. Oh, I'm glad I put my Patriots gear on today then for the 328 Day.
There you go. But nice. Everything's been challenging for a while here on the home front, and that's why I had to really cut back on my podcasting. But I'm so glad to be back, and I totally agree with Chris. Love that hairstyle, Claire.
Oh, thank you. I wasn't going to put that up.
Speaking of hair, all right, you guys all know Butchie is quite in love with his lettuce. Okay, it was literally halfway down his back, and his mother has been bugging him to get a haircut for about 2 years. Every day, are you going to cut your hair? You're going to go. Well, it was my lovely wife's birthday this week, and Butchie, for her birthday, got a haircut. Got all his hair cut up. I mean, short.
Wow.
It is short. I mean, not like a little kid whiffle in the backyard short, but it's short. His district manager came into his store last night. They do these little surprise visits. She came in and her jaw, he described it, is it hit the ground because she's used to seeing all the long flowing shit, and the after she lifted her chin off the floor, the first thing she asked him is, "When's your court date?" But he got a kick out of that, and I got a big kick out of that. And his mother got a very nice birthday present. So shout out to my lovely wife on the anniversary of her 25th birthday. She has hit the 25th anniversary of her 25th birthday. And we're just thrilled. We're just thrilled. And yeah, oh God, I'm starting to sound like a dirty old man. Yeah, my wife's 25. Welcome back, bud. We are a Patriots show, not a hairdressing show. This is not a TikTok hairdressing thing. And so, dude, tell me, did you hear the comments yesterday that came out of Robert Kraft? And what did you think of this? I believe he's just dumped everything onto Bill's lap, and Bill needs to wake up and get this team back into the playoffs.
Yeah, I got that impression too. He kind of put Bill on notice a little bit, I think. Judging from his comments, because he put it all on him. And, he talked about how last year they tried an experiment that didn't work. Then when he was asked about Lamar Jackson, he said, that's on Bill.
That's on Bill.
That's on Bill. So there was a couple other things where it seemed like, he's not very happy with things, and he wants, this season to go much, much better than last year.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of I don't want to say enlightening, but I mean, this is 2 years in a row at this event that Bill has really put that Robert has really put Bill on notice. I mean, last year he had said that we hadn't won a playoff game in 3 years, and I was really upset by that. And this year he came out with this. But at the end of it all, he said to the throng that was there, I still believe in Bill. Did you consider that genuine, or was it a dreaded vote of confidence take from the Patriots owner?
I don't think it was a vote of confidence. I think he realized by the time he was finished talking that, the media was going to run wild with that. So he put that in there at the end, kind of hoping to diffuse the situation, but it really didn't.
It really didn't. Luckily for you down there in Florida, you didn't have to listen to everybody up here go completely off the edge for that. Go ahead, Claire.
We've had the question. Chris has written in. I was going to ask, what percentage do you put Bill being on the hot seat for 2023? I'm assuming that question is to Steve. So, Steve.
No, yeah, you go first, Claire.
I actually think, I don't know, maybe it's my naivety, but everything that was talked about, it's all just talk to me. I don't believe that Bill's in the hot seat. I think what was said was only partially kind of what they really think. I think a lot of it is for the media, because the media kind of takes a corner and runs off with it like a puppy with a slipper sort of thing, and chomps down on it and makes more of it than it kind of really is sort of thing. So I don't know, like I said, it might be just my naivety against, what's really there. But personally, I don't think he's on the hot seat. I don't think you can have what he has had and then 1 year of what happened and then that's it. You erase it all. It's like, who are you going to bring in? I mean, Robert said about how they've got Mayo there now and they're hoping that he's the future. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but they hope he's the future. So why suddenly Bill on the hot seat the year after, if they've just brought Mayo, they've just promoted Mayo into that position? They've got quality in that coaching room, regardless of sort of what you think. I mean, even people who don't believe in Matt Patricia, and it was a terrible experiment, but he's not a terrible kind of football coach. He was just really in the wrong department. He's a very clever football mind, but he just needs to be put into the right position, and he wasn't. It's like you put in a wide receiver I was going to say a quarterback, but some of the wide receivers play quarterback, so it's probably really bad. As defensive end, shall we say? You could have the best wide receiver in the business, stick him in a defensive end, and he's not going to succeed. So why can't we use that as like an example of, yeah, exactly. It doesn't mean that Matt Patricia is a really bad wide receiver. It just means he's really bad at defensive end, that sort of thing. So no, I'm not championing for him to be in offense and anything like that. I was very happy that he was away from the offense. I just don't sort of see it quite with the extent that other people do, that he should be away from Patriots football. He might be anyway, because of what's been said. It doesn't sound like he's necessarily going to be sticking around from what they said sort of at the meetings and things like this. But I don't know. It's just, I think a lot of it is talk out there, and it's just what people want to hear, what the media wants to hear, what the media wants to run away from. I think the thing that's important is what Robert Kraft is saying to Bill Belichick behind closed doors. And I just hope that that's good stuff, really. And I think at the end of the day, that's the thing that's really important, because that's the truth. And that's something that we're not going to get privy to, because as the media are, they're not privy to that information. And sometimes it's like, well, why should they be? Well, it's what needs to work for them. It's their business. It's not our business, sort of thing. But I don't know. I think I'm going to inflame a lot of fans by saying sort of things like that. Maybe.
That's okay. That's what you're here for.
I'll leave now.
You're here to inflame the fans. Another question that was asked, about Matt Patricia yesterday. I'm not sure. I wish I could credit somebody for who asked this. I think it was probably Mike Reese, was whether or not Matt Patricia was still a part of this coaching staff in any way, shape, and form. And, Bill's answer was, I don't know. I don't know. This is another complete 180 from what was said last year. And we're going to get into a lot of 180 questions, in the next few minutes for Steve. What did you think of that? Does Matt need to be out of the building? Do you think it's surprising that Bill stumped for him so heavily last spring, and this spring it's just, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I do agree with Robert Kraft that, I think Matt Patricia was put in a kind of bad position.
You didn't have to say yes. You didn't have to say yes.
Well, I mean, when the boss asks you to take something over,
True.
You say yes and you try the best you can, which I'm sure he did. I mean, he just wasn't prepared for it. And I was one of the people that said last spring, give it a chance. Let's see, because he's been a head coach. He's been a defensive coordinator, but it obviously did not work out. I really think that they were trying to get Bill O'Brien in the building last year, and when it fell through, they didn't have a clear backup plan.
That was my conspiracy theory last year that you just jumped on the bandwagon for.
Yeah, so I think that's why, it was such a late thing, and Patricia came in there, and I think Tom Curran said yesterday, I'm sure it was Tom Curran, the offense this year should be better because they don't have Mr. Magoo driving the train, and it turned out that Patricia was way out of his depth there, and again that falls on Bill, and he said that if it fails, it's 100% on me, and I think that does contribute a little bit to the original question that Chris asked about Bill being on the hot seat, because that ultimately was his decision. I don't know if it's a high percentage. I don't believe it is at this stage of the game. Now, we'll revisit that about midway point through the season. If the Patriots are doing well, then he's off the hot seat. And at the end of the year, if they have a good record and they make the postseason, you can put that one on hold for a while. But by the same token, if they're not doing well, and it's one thing if you're losing but you're playing well and just some things don't happen. But the team didn't play well last year. No. It just seemed very clunky and
out of sync. Everybody was out of sync.
Completely out of sync last year offensively. I thought the defense played very well last year. They struggled against some of the best offenses, but which defense?
Who didn't?
Right. Yeah.
Who didn't?
The lack of O-line coach is going to have affected that as well. They not only did they not have a proper OC, they didn't have a proper O-line coach. There's so many factors.
And to answer Lee's question, no.
Oh, do you write in Norse code?
Don't type in Norse code.
That's his terrible dad joke. Thanks, Lee, for your terrible dad joke.
When I was in the military, one of my first jobs as a Special Forces radio operator was type in Morse code, not Norse code.
Oh man, we all remember those days because we were children that had walkie-talkies with little Morse code buttons on it. You didn't have walkie-talkie when you were a kid?
Actually, no.
Oh, that's strange.
Who would I walkie-talkie as an only child?
I don't know, Mom. Mom, more meatloaf. Where's the meatloaf? Keeping a bit on the same vein. What did you think of what do you think of the coaching additions that have been made this year? We have a genuine offensive coordinator, an offensive mind, and more importantly, a somebody with a clue as to coaching an offensive line.
Yeah, I really like the addition of Bill O'Brien because one, he's very well versed in the Patriots offense that they traditionally ran for the past 30-something years. It's really the same offense that they've run for several, coaches. It's kind of like everyone puts their little spin on it, but it's the Patriots offense. So I like that fact. The fact that he was at Alabama, and him and Mac Jones speak that kind of language as well. That's a very important thing. And, I think he has a very good offensive mind. He's going to figure out a way to utilize the pieces that they've brought in much better than they were utilized last year. Honestly, I don't think the pieces are bad at all. No. I know everyone, and we'll get into that later, I'm sure, but I think the addition of Bill O'Brien will do wonders for this offense. And again, I'll give credit to Tom Curran, who said, this is a team that can now score 27 points on any given Sunday without having to rely on the defense and special teams to give them 7.
Right. That's a fantastic point. Fantastic point. But you didn't touch on Clem. How do you think Clem is going to?
I think that was an excellent addition. Again, he grew up in the Patriots offense. Yep. He was, I believe he was Bill Belichick's very first draft choice.
He was.
Can I ask a question? Sorry. Because of what you've just said. Does that concern you? What? Could I put my hand up? Does that concern you that he is sticking to his familiar tree, shall we say? That he isn't going away from, he isn't trying to develop away from anything. Like you said, Bill O'Brien has come back. He's got 20, 30 years of Patriotiness under his belt, that sort of thing. And now he's got Clem, who, like you said, started in the Patriots. Is there the concern that he's getting towards the end of his tenure, shall we say, and he isn't developing out into a more modern way, maybe?
Well, I'm
not saying it should concern you. I'm just questioning it because of what you said.
No, I think it's a legitimate and it's a very good question. At this point, though, you have Mac Jones, who's in his third year. Do you really want to teach him a third offensive system in his third season? Because we've seen other young quarterbacks go through that.
Yep.
And it traditionally has ruined their careers. And I think at this point, we saw Mac in his rookie year, and he performed very well. Last year, they went to that very simplified offense where, we heard after the fact that there were so many holes. Players were asking questions in meetings, and the coaches didn't have an answer for. And I think they have to get back on track with what they do best. And that's, that Patriots system. Now, if they had been, with Mac for 5 or 6 years and he was playing extremely well and the offense was humming along and you brought in a new offensive coordinator, I think that's one thing. But I don't think this is the year to do that. So I was glad they went back to the O'Brien offense, or not the O'Brien, but the traditional Patriots offense, which O'Brien knows. And I'm sure they'll put a couple of spins in there, taking advantage of the talent that they have and what those guys do best. And I think that was a big issue last year. The Patriots have always traditionally put guys in the best position to succeed. And I think you can look at a lot of players last year, and I know Chris just mentioned the tight end group. They did not do that.
Nope.
And I didn't think they did right by rookie Tyquan Thornton last year by not taking advantage of what he does best. And, we can all just point at Kendrick Bourne and say, what the F?
Yep. Yep. So since you've turned the page to players over coaching, and I'm glad you did that. What did you think of the Patriots free agent moves? I thought Bill did a fantastic job in keeping this defense together, sans McCourty's retirement.
Right. And, we kind of knew that was coming. I mean, he had actually hinted about retiring last year.
Yep.
He came back. I mean, time waits for no one. Could he have played this year? Sure. He still has it. But, he felt like that this was the best time for him to exit. So it wasn't a shock to the team. They still have that hole to fill with him, not only on the field, but off the field. And I think that stability he's brought to the secondary for all those years, that's tough to replace. I was kind of hoping they would get, unfortunately, the guy that went to Buffalo.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. They may believe that, that the situation, at least this year, is already on the team. Maybe a guy like Jalen Mills or Joshua Bledsoe. We don't know. We'll have to see how it all plays out. But I like the fact that they kept the defense together. I thought Mac Wilson and and Raekwon McMillan, they kind of underperformed last year, but at the same time, they're good depth pieces. So we'll see if this year they're even a little bit better than they were. But offensively, the guys that they brought in, I liked. I mean, we all love Jacoby Myers. I mean, he was the most dependable guy on the team. Great hands. Anything in his catch radius, he was, going to bring it in. But at the same time, the one thing that he lacked was what the offense lacked last year, because they didn't use some of their other players, right? And that was yards after the catch. I know that's a big catchphrase with Murph.
Yep.
That's his thing. Yak.
Need my yak.
And that's what Juju Smith-Schuster brings to the table. And the bottom line for me is, I mean, we don't know if he's going to work in New England. It's a little bit of a risk, but I think the risk outweighs the con, because that's what they needed.
Go ahead.
Oh, my phone started ringing. I thought I shut it off. But I really like that move. I like the two tackles. Neither one of them is a long-term solution, but it builds that depth, and I think that's important. And the other thing is Mike Gesicki was a guy that I was hoping that the Patriots were going to bring in when he came out in the draft, and we've seen what he can do against New England. So I was glad to see them bring him in. And, he reminds me of a guy like Kelsey from, Kansas City. He's not a tight end.
No.
He's just a very, very big 6'6" receiver. And that's okay. That's okay. Because when you get in the red zone, you can move him around and create mismatches. And if we've seen, how he was doing that in Miami until last year when they put him in that system. And I think he'll fit in extremely well there. So I like those moves.
You and I both loved Gesicki coming out of college.
Oh, yeah. And, when you look at, they didn't use Jonnu Smith last year. So why pay him all that money if you're not going to use him? I agreed with trading him away, because if you're not going to use him, get somebody else.
There you go. Were you surprised that John Jones signed back up and for the money that he came back for?
Yeah, I thought, excuse me. I thought he was going to draw a lot more money on the market. And I think it's a good signing. I mean, he's a fit here in New England. We all know that. But I like bringing him back. And I think if they can get a boundary corner in the draft coming up, then, your secondary looks strong again. I mean, then they have two really good slot guys. They have a couple of really good, boundary guys. So, I really like Joey Porter because, he brings that size element. But I like Gonzalez and Witherspoon too.
They're gonna have to trade up for Gonzalez.
Yeah, but I mean, if one of those three were to fall in their lap, I'd be pretty happy with that. I mean,
I'd be okay with it. Hey, Bill would be breaking a long-standing tradition of not drafting guys from Penn State, but and I know his dad said that he would be fine with it. But I would really like Joey Porter's old man's face to see his face on draft night if he's called at 14. Go ahead, Claire.
I can't say I would, to be honest. If he doesn't want to be here, then they don't want him to be here, really.
Well, no, little Porter hasn't said that he didn't want to be here. That's not what I'm saying.
His father was not a big.
No, I know. I know. Yeah. You moved away from all my questions, to be honest, Murph.
So go back. It's your show. Do what you want.
It's so not.
We can jump back, Claire.
Yeah.
You didn't talk about Gesicki enough, I don't think, to be honest with you, because there was
Well,
a couple of things that I wanted
talk
to
about
say.
Gesicki.
Because this guy, this is very exciting because he's really good at using his size, as you sort of alluded to. He uses his frame really well, which is interesting because I think that it's something that people would say is similar to what they had in Smith, but I think it's actually going to end up being completely different. And I think that's what's going to be important because they've taken Gesicki. Do you think, in your opinion, now I know that probably most people have moved along now, that the draft class is so deep this year in tight endage that they can't really not pick up one. They just sort of can't. Are you of the same mindset? Because when they signed Gesicki, I did have a moment of, maybe they won't sign one, but there's such depth, there's such quality of skill there. Is that something that you still think that they will do? And have you got your eye on a tight end particular in the sort of the later rounds more than early? Because obviously we know that tackle and cornerback is still something that they want to look at. Do you see sort of a day 2-3 guy that you think would be a good fit for the Patriots?
I don't have one particular guy. I mean, I don't think they're going to go after one of the top tight ends in the draft this year, because I think with Hunter Henry and Gesicki, but at the same time, I was talking with Derek Havens over the weekend or just prior to the weekend, and we were talking about tight end, and he said, both of those guys, their contracts run out, so maybe they do draft a tight end day 2. And I started thinking about that, and I was like, that could very well be, depending on how things play out. I could see the Patriots trading back into later in the first round. Yep. And then picking up an extra day 2 pick.
Yep.
And, maybe they would go after one of the top tight ends. I don't really have my eye on any one particular guy, but I do think they should go for a guy who can do both. I know they have 2 good receiving tight ends now.
Yeah.
Maybe pick up a guy that can block, that's known as a good blocker as well as receive.
Hello, Mr. Washington.
Yeah.
He's going to be gone, Murph. You need to get over this. As
I
really
know.
great as he is, and he is.
Again,
you need to be over it because he's going to be gone.
If he falls to their, into their lap, I wouldn't be against taking a guy like him.
He'll be there
He
at 14.
ain't falling in their lap.
He'll be there at 14. I'm telling you that.
He ain't falling in their lap. He ain't falling in their lap.
And I would dance a jig if the Patriots pick this kid up, because I just love every second of his tape. And so keeping with the tight endage scenario, go ahead, Claire.
I was like, what's he going to ask? Really? You want me to ask the question in the thing?
Yeah.
Nobody's Steve. Okay, this is silly. Should Bill bring back Claire's favorite tight end, Ronnie Steve? I know everybody. To be honest with you, I don't know why we asked this question because everybody says no, apart from me.
Well, I don't want to. I haven't been on the show for a while, so I don't want to incur Claire's wrath for this one. So
nice.
I'll sit on the fence and say I'm kind of on the fence with this one.
To be honest, if they just brought him back on the practice squad, if he was just back in Patriots blue, I would be fine. He doesn't even have to play. Don't play him. Just give him a Patriots.
Is he a free agent right now, or is he?
No,
I thought he was.
He's playing in the what is it?
The XFL?
No, the other one.
The
USFL,
something like that.
Okay,
he's in the other one anyway.
All right. Well, that's still a free agent here.
Technically. Technically. I don't want to ask this question, but Murph will tell me to ask the questions in the thing. Chris says, Steve, do you think we have enough in the wide receiver room, or does the Patriots need a Jerry Jeudy? Well, if you listen to the Broncos, they ain't getting rid of Jerry Jeudy. So that is a moot point in a way.
Again, we hear that all the time. We're not trading this guy. And then 2 days later, he's traded.
This
I think somebody is going to have to really pop up because you have to remember Denver has very little draft capital this year. So if you were to, come at them with an offer that they would consider worthy, 2 fairly high draft picks, I think they'd consider it. Now, do the Patriots need Jerry Jeudy? They don't need him per se, but it would be sure nice to have him. I look at the wide receiver room like this. I think it's a lot better than people are giving it credit for. And everyone keeps talking they need a number 1 wide receiver. Well, I go back to the same argument, and I know I've repeated this so many times, it's ridiculous. They won 6 Super Bowls without a number 1 wide receiver.
The same argument as Russ. That's Russ's argument, isn't it, as well? But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it, the first couple of Super Bowl wins, who was their top guy? David Patton. Yeah. Deion Branch.
Troy Brown.
And then later on,
and then the other side, they go, so yeah, but Tom Brady ain't walking through that door. Yeah. Well, Tom, when Tom Brady was winning Super Bowls with those guys, he wasn't Tom Brady yet.
The first couple, he was not.
He was a good quarterback that was smart and go ahead, Claire.
No, and did he have a decent offensive line to protect him when he could get the ball out to people? I really wish people would get more passionate about this, because I am so on this soapbox of what is the point of having a really good receiver go slot wherever, down the seams, whatever. He could run at the speed of freaking light. If Mac Jones can't get the ball, if any quarterback can't get the ball out because his O-line has fallen like a cardboard box, what is the point? Seriously, what is the point?
Did I bring up tight ends? No. So why do you have to jump into my offensive line questions? All right.
I love offensive line.
This is what you left me with, Steve. This is what I have to deal with alone all the time.
Boo-hoo. His life is terrible. He has to work with me 1 day a week, which I would... Can I just quote you from last week, last Tuesday? I think you said the words along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact terms that you used, but it was along the lines of, oh my gosh, I love being able to work with you.
I do. And I do. So you know that this is...
I miss Claire yelling at you.
Yeah, I know. Steve, do you think they did enough on the offensive line? Is offensive line still a priority in the first round? And do you think this is why Bill is hesitant to trade that pick for, a top wide receiver?
I think offensive line is still a priority. I think they've improved. Because Riley Reeve, I mean, he's up there in age. He's not great, but he's been a starter, for many years. And I think he'll be all right this year. He's definitely going to be better than what they had last year. I mean, look at the starter last year. So,
by the way, people, there's a certain free agent right tackle that is still out there, and nobody has given him a bag of anything except crap. Hi, Isaiah. How you doing?
Oh, I was going to say, do you mean win?
Yep.
Sure.
I was wondering who you were talking about, and then I don't think he'll be coming back.
No. That wasn't my point at all. Just the fact that nobody is breaking down the door to sign Isaiah.
And especially after he came out and was telling people, unless you come up with $5 million, I'm not even going to talk to you. I'm like, dude,
It's 5 million ways to not talk to me then. With regards to the offensive line, sorry, I'm trying to find the name now. But as you said, it's a top priority in the draft, and I'm glad that you said that. Now, Skoronski has been very up and very down depending on which camp you're in because of his size or his slight lack of size. I love how this much makes a difference, folks. This much doesn't make a difference, so you know. It's how you use it. But
please screen cap that.
Okay,
this much makes a difference.
It really doesn't. No, what? It's true.
Okay.
Oh, great. Now I've lost both of them. Oh, this is wicked.
Now
No,
you're making me self-conscious, Claire. I'm just
There
going
you
to say
go.
that.
no, it doesn't. It's how you use. Anyway. Yes, Skaronski was like, he's got a big check mark, and I think I've seen some bits and pieces, and he looks great. I'm just trying to find the other guy's name, who I think is fantastic. Who threw in the combine?
Broderick Jones.
It's
Jones.
one of the Jones. It's one of the Joneses, and I can't remember which one it is.
Yep.
I think it's Broderick Jones.
Yep, the Georgia kid.
In the combine, when the coach was holding the pad and he had to do kind of one of the drills, and he just chucked the guy out the club. And it was like, he did that, and that was it. He did that one move, and it was like, all your sins are erased. Whatever the problem is, come to New England.
Threw him out of the club.
Yep.
I just love it when things like that happen. So yeah, who's your offensive tackle pick, Steve?
I like all three of the top guys. Again, just like the cornerbacks. If they were to get any of those three guys, I'd be very happy. It doesn't have. I don't have a favorite. I know I sound like I'm sitting on the fence, but truthfully, any one of those top three guys, I'm liking it. If you ask me who I would like the best, maybe Jones from Georgia.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought for sure you'd go Paris Johnson.
Well, I really like him too. But,
yeah.
Like I said, I like all three of those guys.
Now you know how I feel with the tight ends. It's like I just can't pick which one. There's so many.
Yeah,
so great.
Because I think the three of them are so close that regardless of who you get, he's going to be very good.
Right.
I think any one of those three guys is going to be very, very good. So I kind of like that.
Talking O-line, can I tell you, just throw this bit of information out there because, Murph, I don't think you're aware of this. You know that the signing Riley Rafe, did you know that he took 8 steps at tight end?
No, I did not know that.
Now you know. So he's going to be very good, don't worry.
Okay. Killing me, Smalls. Killing me. So
I knew when Claire said, do you know about Riley Rafe? I was expecting to say something about tight ends. I thought you were going to tell me he caught a touchdown or something.
Right. So
that's good.
On the offensive line, I mean, I really, really like all the guys that you've brought up. I love Paris Johnson. I don't think he's going to be there at 14. Broderick Jones is a dream, and that would make a lot of people very happy. Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma is somebody that really caught my eye. Steve, have you given a look at him? He's somebody that Bill could possibly grab in the second round.
Yeah, I like him, and I'm drawing a blank now. The kid from Tennessee.
Hold on, I'll get my list.
I think it is
Darnell Wright.
Was it Wright?
Yeah, Darnell Wright.
Yes, I like him too.
Yeah, and he's somebody that's had to block for what you would call a mobile quarterback, somebody that extends the game quite a bit. Why can't I think of the Tennessee quarterback's name off the top of my head? Is it Hooker? It's not Hooker. Yeah. So yeah, no. I could. Where do you see him falling? He might. I
think he'd be
bottom of the second round, top of the third. Even.
Yeah. I think he'd be somewhere in the second round. I don't know how teams look at him, but I think he's definitely going to be in round 2.
Claire is definitely going to bring up later this question, but I'm gonna ask it now. Who was your combine crush? Who jumped out at you in the combine that you really, really like? It doesn't have to be your draft crush. It could just be your combine crush.
I didn't have any combine crush, and I know Claire was going to ask this, so you can ask it again. This year, I was just looking at different players, and nobody jumped off, to me looking like, this guy just absolutely crushed it. Now there was some players that did it, but they were kind of players that I thought that the Patriots weren't going to covet. So there wasn't anybody this year that, like last year, all those guys from Georgia were just absolutely amazing, and those strength and conditioning coaches there, they do a great job. But this year, there wasn't anybody that I really, was shocked at how good they did, and I didn't have a crush this year. That's why I like all these, cornerbacks and wide receivers.
Go ahead, Claire.
Did you have a draft crush?
No, actually, I did not. Like Chris said, Murph, how could you?
I know. I'm lost now. I can't do the rest of the show.
No, it was a completely different question.
I know. I know.
Steve could have gone in any different way. Somebody that jumped out to him, Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois, the cornerback. He had a fantastic. Tyree Wilson,
yes, he did.
the edge guy. He had, I'm talking about top 10 freaking players here, but Christian Gonzalez really jumped out for me at the combine.
Wasn't he already good though? Wasn't he already
he's already one of the top cornerbacks, but it's as you know, for me, college football only exists to give me game film to watch coming up before the draft. I don't watch a lot of college football. But when I saw him perform at the combine, it was just like, yes, please go up and get him.
Yeah, he performed very well. But again, it wasn't a shock because he was considered, one of the best corners, if not the best, going into the combine. That's why I was like, it didn't shock me, with the way, he performed, because we kind of figured he was going to do that.
One of the shockers was, sorry to hop back on tight ends, but it's true, was Darnell Washington, because going into the combine, he was looked at as just a big swing tackle. Not very quick, that sort of thing. And I think he blew everybody away at the combine. And I think he's definitely somebody who's increased his draft stock from the combine. Yeah. Yes, there's many others, but as you know, I watched the tight ends quite significantly. And I think he was really kind of underrated when it comes to tight ends this year. And I think he's really pushed himself up into the top few in regards to that.
When we're talking about the combine, I watch a lot of college football, and to me, the tape is what really tells the story.
Yeah, sure.
But I do like, I'm not really interested in guys 40 time unless you're a wide receiver or cornerback.
Yep.
I look at those 10-yard splits, especially for edge guys, because if an edge guy has to chase a quarterback 40 yards, that's usually not a good thing. So I look for that 10-yard split. You're seeing the explosion off the line. That's what I really look for. And then 3-cone time, because it shows, agility and the ability to change direction quickly. So that's what I really look for. I mean, it's fun to see guys burn up the track in a 40. I mean, but
before Claire steals my question, since I, upset her with draft crushes or combine crushes, my draft crush this year. I don't know if you've been watching the show regularly. I'm sure you have, downloading it. And just to piss Claire off, what do you think of my man Deuce Vaughn? How fantastic would he look in a Patriots uniform? And where could Bill possibly grab him for me?
How fantastic will he look in a teeny tiny little uniform?
She did it again.
Yeah, Claire likes this. Honestly, what does this matter? What does this much matter?
Oh, I miss you guys.
Have you watched any of Deuce's film? I've been stumping for him on Twitter a whole bunch. I think this kid is fantastic and would fit in here as a third down back in an
He'd fit in
amazing way.
everywhere. He's so small. I'm only joking.
That's very true. I have watched some of him.
He'd fit in a locker.
Yeah,
I'm allowed to say it because I'm shorter. So because I'm smaller than him, I'm allowed with the small.
It's not shortest if you're under 5'2".
Yeah.
Are you only 5'2", Claire?
I'm just under 5'3".
Oh,
so sort of.
I thought you were tall. Because you sit.
Oh my gosh, no! I'm quite small. I'm small.
She's SM all. That's
because
how small
she sits
is.
so tall in her chair. I thought she was like 5'9", 5'10".
My legs are like this.
Well, to get back to Deuce, I think he's kind of an electric guy, but I don't really see the Patriots drafting. I know everyone keeps saying they need a receiving back. They have 2 on the roster, actually 3 now. I mean, they drafted Pierre Strong last year, and as we know, that guys who are going to fill that receiving back role, they generally have a redshirt year, which he kind of did last year. So they also still have Ty Montgomery.
Yep.
And if James Robinson is healthy this year, he's back from his Achilles. You go back to his rookie season, he caught 50 passes. So I don't see them going after a receiving back this year.
Yeah, I got you. But you know me.
I think he's electric.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
Speaking of electric,
he can fit in the locker.
Speaking of electric, and since this is Steal Somebody Else's Questions day here on One Patriots Place, Chris Godwin asked a good question. He stole what I have next on my list. There's a lot of talk about Lamar Jackson. Yesterday it came out, that I don't know, some rapper Miles was saying that Lamar Jackson wants to come to New England. What did you think of that? And what do you think of Lamar Jackson possibly coming to the Patriots? Look at my face, folks. Look at my face.
Well, I like Lamar Jackson. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see him coming in.
Yeah.
I don't.
Why build what they're building with Bill O'Brien? Sorry to cut you off, Steve, but why bring in Bill O'Brien? Why do the Patriots way to bring in a quarterback who is going to be completely different? It just doesn't make any sense.
Plus the fact that, for the money he's looking for, they would have to cut a bunch of players.
Right.
And, they have some holes to fill. Then, if you bring in a guy like Lamar, and don't get me wrong, I think he's supremely talented, but then you're going to have to slice a lot of your roster, to make room for him. And, it's kind of like a catch-22 with this team right now because they have other holes to fill. They're trying to fill them in free agency, but you're going to have to get rid of a lot of players that are making a lot of money, and it really doesn't make sense right now. But would I like to see him in a Patriots uniform? Yeah, but not under these circumstances right now. So I don't see them making this move.
Very diplomatic answer.
Well, I'm just trying to, I'm looking at it from their point of view right now. They have a lot of really, Lamar Jackson is a great talent, but, he's also, the last couple of years, he's been injured a lot.
Yeah.
And are you going to invest $200 million in a guy?
I think he's being oversold.
Played 24 games out of the last 34 in the regular season. Also has one whopping playoff win in his career. We are 3 years removed from his MVP season, which Dave Brown pointed out yesterday. Basically was him running an offense that nobody knew how to stop. And once people figured out how to stop it, he hasn't done shit.
Yeah, I mean, he's still extremely talented. I think he's a better thrower.
What's Watson won, Noons? What's Watson won?
That's what he's saying. No, but that's what he's saying. He's not completely different from Watson.
Oh, he's not. I'm sorry, dyslexia. Sorry, my dyslexia.
You give me a chance. Give me a chance to read it. But yeah, Lee says he's not completely different from Watson. And
with
Joel
all the
makes
talk
a great
about,
point.
With all the talk about, and we'll get to Joel's, question here in just a second. But with all the talk about Bill not being able to develop wide receivers, I think John Harbaugh gets a big pass on this one.
Yeah, bravo.
Because you look at some of the guys Lamar Jackson has to throw to, and you take away Mark Andrews off of that team.
Yep.
And that offense is going nowhere.
Nowhere fast.
If he were to get hurt, that offense is done.
And it's not like Harbaugh hasn't spent the draft capital everybody here wishes that Bill did. These were higher draft picks than the 3rd round, the 6th round, the 7th round picks that everybody keeps harping on Bill because they didn't work out.
Yeah. Well, 6th and 7th rounders, I mean, come on. But to Joel's point, yes. And then if they were to bring in a guy like Lamar Jackson, you have to change the entire offense.
Yep.
Because then it has to be a lot of RPOs, because that's what drives his train. That's what makes him so dangerous. Those option plays, But if you were to have good wide receivers on the field, it would open up the avenues for those guys a ton, because I just don't think Baltimore gave him enough good weapons, receiving, other than Andrews, who I think he's the most complete tight end right now. I know Kelsey has bigger receiving numbers,
but he's a receiver.
He's a receiver. And, I think it comes down, if you're looking for a complete tight end, I think it's Andrews and Kittle, But other than Andrews, they really have no major targets there. And so, if you were to bring in a guy like Lamar Jackson to the Patriots, he might not have to run very much.
That's true.
That would be the caveat to what I just said, why I don't want him. So, but I don't think they're going to pony up that kind of money.
No, I agree. I think Kraft really likes his rookie deals and his quarterback.
And he likes Mac Jones.
And he likes Mac Jones.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you? I mean, I'm sorry. I've got an element of loyalty, which is, you kind of get blinded by it because it's like, well, Lamar's obviously a better quarterback, but Mac Jones is my quarterback, and I'm ready to stand behind him regardless. Because
you look at his rookie year, and it was very impressive for a rookie to come in and do what he did. Last year, you just have to throw it out because of the coaching and the offensive play design and the play calling. Everything was discombobulated last year. Not saying he didn't have his bad moments. He did.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
but he wasn't the problem with the offense last year.
No.
The thing is, it comes back to, as Lee mentioned in regards to Watson. I mean, okay, so you scream for Lamar. They bring Lamar in. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't gel.
Then
it
you
doesn't fit.
$200 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just because someone was good doesn't mean they will be good there. I mean, okay, it's a really watered down example, but Jonnu Smith.
It's also a lot to ask an owner to shell out $200 million because you got to put that money in escrow. That has to be, once you sign these contracts, you have to have that cash available. Now, I am not on the bandwagon that the Patriots are cheap, but asking somebody to set aside $200 million for a guy that plays 12 games a year, and I think quit on his team last year, is a smart move.
Yeah, and part of that is I think he was very frustrated with the Ravens. I mean, they built their offense around this guy. He was an MVP. And, behind the scenes, they're telling him, well, we're not going to pay you like a top quarterback and not give you the weapons that other top quarterbacks have. And
we fell into that trap with Joe Flacco a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, I think Lamar's
Yeah,
infinitely
it's a
better.
little, infinitely better. But at the time, and what we heard for the next 6 years were Joe Flacco's elite. Well, he wasn't elite, and that's why he didn't get back to the Super Bowl. Steve, just to circle all the way back around, does Juju's knee issues give you any kind of pause in bringing him in? He had them going all the way back to the Steelers. A lot of people say that he was not the same player in Kansas City as he was. For me, what happened to him in the AFC title game last year, and then to be able to come back and essentially he was the MVP of that freaking game. I don't care what anybody says. Just a week later, what does that say to you about this young man?
Yeah, I'm not worried about his knee issues.
Okay.
I mean, if you look at it, yeah, Kelsey was their top target, but Juju led all their wide receivers, and he had 950 yards or something
like that.
Yeah, receiving. So I'm not worried about that. I mean, the Patriots didn't have anyone with 900 yards receiving last year. So, I think, okay, everyone said, oh, well, he had Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, but Mahomes was looking at Kelsey all the time.
Right.
So, I think he's going to be just fine here. I think they'll figure out a way to use him. I think they're going to figure out a way. Kendrick Bourne, to me, is the guy that everyone's kind of I believe he's under the radar.
Oh, yeah.
Because everyone looks at last year and says, oh, well, he didn't do anything last year. But as Tom Curran said, I'll refer to that again, Mr. Magoo ain't driving the train this year.
Right.
So, that's why I look at this wide receiver room. You have Juju, Devontae Parker, Tyquan Thornton, Kendrick Bourne, Mike Gesicki, Hunter Henry.
Yep.
I don't think that's a bad receiving group at all.
It's really not.
So that's why I don't think they need a guy like Judy or DeAndre Hopkins. Would it be nice to have either one of those? Absolutely. But it's not a necessity. I think they can fill up that wide receiver room with a guy in the draft. And, if they pick up to me, it's a slot guy. You pick up a Josh Downs in the second round or Zay Flowers in the first round, then I'll be dancing that Irish dance with Murph.
Go ahead, Claire. I saw you had a ooh moment.
It was just the way that Steve said about how Kelsey was used like as number one and Juju was number two. Maybe this is sort of a process of how they're going to use Gesicki because he's more of that kind of guy. So is Juju in there to be complemented with Gesicki as Gesicki that number one and Juju number two? That sort of thing.
Well,
it just struck me as a possibility sort of thing when you were saying it.
Yeah, when I look at the weapons they have now, I'm going back to the days where, depending on who they're playing against and the opposition, they're going to scheme guys, open. So like week one, Gesicki might have a ton of targets. Week two, it might be Tyquan Thornton, Kendrick Bourne, Juju. You go down the line. I think they're going to go back to that, that's when the Patriots offense was virtually unstoppable. You go back to those days, it was always somebody was going to be the focal point for any given week. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that's what you
find the weakest link and exploit it. And they weren't able to do that last year.
No,
without a doubt.
And with all these tight end targets, Murph's going to have to mute me on game day because I'm going to be the overexcited tweeter.
Sorry.
I will be.
Unlike the two of you, I would never do that. I would never ever do that.
That's not true.
For the record, people, they mute me on Sundays, both of them, because they just can't take it. They can't take the fact that I live tweet the game.
He doesn't shut up.
You don't live tweet. You live scream the game.
There you go. There you go. All caps, all the time.
Well, there's going to be live screaming from Claire, I'm afraid, when there's some when there's plenty of tight endage.
That's it.
And if they draft one, hold on to your pants, folks, because Claire's going to get very excited.
We are we are right up against it, man. This hour has just flown right by. Steve, before you go first round, you've got the pick. What are you doing? Are you going offensive tackle? Are you going wide receiver, or are you going with a cornerback?
I keep saying depending how the board plays out, but
no, I just want to know
if
the main need here and
right,
what you would do.
I think that if
anybody's
there was a tackle, a wide receiver, and a cornerback all available.
Yep.
In round one, I go cornerback.
Do you? Knew it.
I
Because
know what you're going.
Yeah.
I think that in round 2 or later, you can find some good offensive linemen that they can mold, but those
I know, but the good ones.
I don't want a mold. I don't want mold.
Well, you know what I mean, to fit your system and it can come in and play. And they've had pretty good luck with those, in the past. Excuse me. So I think I go, those blue chip corners, and again, I'm going against my own grain because Bill always finds those hidden gems at corner that are either late round picks or undrafted, which he doesn't get credit for, by the way. But
right,
exactly, when those big, delicious offensive tackles are there that are just like so perfectly primed for protecting Mac Jones. Oh, I'm with Murph on that one.
Yep, I'm definitely going.
Big guy.
Steve, before we have to hang up, tell everybody what you are up to. We know you're real busy down there. Tell people what you are up to, what you've got in the hopper over there at patsfans.com.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the draft. I'm watching more and more film on these guys, and I'm trying to get away from the guys I already like.
It's hard.
I've already talked myself into liking some of these guys, so I'm trying to delve into like middle to late round guys that I think the Patriots might be interested in or would be a fit. And Derek and I are doing our first draft show tomorrow around this time, so we invite people to check that out. But yeah, I'm trying to keep busy. As you guys know, we've had some challenges here in the family with some health issues, and we're trying to work through all that. But I miss the heck out of both of you.
We miss you too, man. I mean, every single day. We will never change the logo here. It is One Patriots Place with Thomas Murphy, Steve Balistreri, and Clazzy Clare Cooper, and it will be that way forever. Wait, I'll change that. Unless Claire fires me, because the letterhead would change if Claire fired me and whoever she brought in. But Steve's name is there forever. We're just going to keep feeding off of his fantastic legacy and knowledge. Thank you so much for being here, Steve. Tell everybody where they can find you on the social.
The social media right there. Steve B 7SFG. Yep. April 14th, Last Kingdom, 7 Kings Must Die. So, be sure to check that out. I'm on all the social media stuff at Steve Balistreri on Facebook, Steve B at 7SFG. So, I'm looking forward to an exciting draft season. I always look forward to this because there's so many possibilities, and
it's the most wonderful time.
It is. It's my favorite time of the year. I love the draft. So Derek and I will be delving into that, and it's fun. So we'll have to have you guys on for a guest here soon.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be great. That'd be great. I got all the time in the world. Claire, take us out.
Well, seeing as Murph's singing, it really is time to end the show, folks. A great thanks to Steve Balistreri for his time and his insight and coming back over onto One Patriots Place. As Murph said, we miss him dearly, as I know that all you guys out there do as well. This has been another episode of One Patriots Place, brought to you by E2GSports.com and the E2G Sports Network. He has been Thomas Murphy, and I have been Clazzy Clare Cooper even. And we welcome you to join us next time, folks, and go Pats.
Deuce Vaughn.